The great BZ.
Hey, look at this. Look at me. I get two microphones.
Yes.
I get my microphone right here, and then I get this microphone. Now that's considerate. Thank you.
I think you got something on your head.
I do. I'm hoping that this doesn't fall off, because if it does, I have a backup hat just in case, because you got to think, 2 or 3 steps ahead of the average bobcat.
Now, the big question. I can see part of it. How much hair got cut off the other day?
That's funny. I kind of expected somebody to ask, and the answer is the chick took some of the extraneous fluff underneath off, and underneath this point off. And she said, and I don't know anything about beards. I've had a beard since I retired in 2016. And then back in my late teens and early 20s, until I went into copdom, I had my hair was blondish red, and my beard and mustache were bright blazing red. And so I had a beard even lower than this in my commie days in university, back when commies in 68 and 69 actually supported free speech, which is some really damn strange stuff. But I stopped cutting my hair in 2016 and my beard, and not knowing much about beards, she said, if you're going to come back, and I'm going to cut some of this off, and you can't see it because the bobcat has it tucked up his asshole. But the hair is shorter in the back. I'm going to have to, when I get through, I'm going to have to kind of pull it out and just wash it off and all that kind of stuff. Even though he's dead, he still has an asshole, because I am. So it's a little shorter by about, it looked to me by about 3 inches or so. The bobcat is encroaching on my vision. I have to pull him up. Like I was saying earlier, in the show in Sacramento in the SHR Media Studios, I had the bobcat right behind me. He was up on a little shelf above my head, looking down on the program all the time, no matter who was in the announce seat. And then the bobcat wouldn't fit back here. This is not a big studio. It's nothing like the size of SHR, the original SHR studios. Shoot, probably 25 feet by 30 feet, something like that. Much bigger than this one. This is about 10 by 12 plus a closet over there. But it's a lot more convenient, at least for me. I don't have to put anything away. That said, the bobcat, I couldn't fit the bobcat behind here. And the scope of the camera, because there's a big 49-inch screen in front of me right here, I couldn't put the bobcat here, and I couldn't put the bobcat up above. And because I couldn't put the camera way far away, there just was no spot for the bobcat. So I do have a taxidermied head of a bobcat. When I find it, it's going to come back to the saloon. But in the meantime, I saw this bad boy. I'm not sure I don't know I haven't named him yet. I just got him today.
Fred.
He's on Facebook Marketplace, bobcat hat. Oh, and you got to see this. I don't know who the hell thought this was cool, but it's got little, I don't know. What do you
balls?
What do you call these? Maybe they're bobcat balls. Maybe I grew a set of bobcat balls. Who knows? But I told the chick that, hey, I've got a show called BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. And after I made the offer, she said, sold. So I went and picked it up today. Put it on my head. We got 4 rescue dogs. And I know you got dogs too.
Yeah.
And the second I put this bad boy on my head, all the dogs must have smelled something. I don't know. The door was open, and all the dogs come rushing in, barking, 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 barking. And they're getting down low, squatting like they're going to attack me. And all I did is lean forward. And they all did damn near shit their doofers and rushed out the door. Rah, rah, rah. So I guess this bobcat is a bigger badass than my 4 rescue dogs. That was just fun to see. And like I say, I'm going to try to make sure it doesn't fall off tonight. Maybe Maybe it will. Anyway,
Need to get some hair.
now I got a Bobcat hat.
Oh,
How the hell am I supposed to fit it over headphones? I hadn't thought about that before I offered to buy it.
all right. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and last night I was a guest on your show, and
it was a great show about all sorts of stuff.
Now, there was one question. I don't know if it was a question, statement, how you want to put it. That when did the Democrats start going for war and all that, pushing war?
Yeah.
And then the one thing I wanted to bring up, and we didn't have time, you hit a break and we got sidetracked, is actually that's a conversation me and Sack and Sean had. Because when they started to realize how much money they can make personally off of war, is when they started to promote it. If you think about it, after Iraq and Afghan war, they did that first, the anti-war, and then they started finding out there's a lot of money they can make off of that. And now they're very pro-war. Or is it because they're just against anything Trump says?
See, B. For me, B.
B?
Now, war always has its profiteers, and war has its place. And people have always, you can tell a country is in a bad way when it begins to push for war. The Chinese economy, I always reference Gordon Chang when I talk about China and its economy. And when doing so, Gordon Chang is just an absolutely superior piece of reference material. He lived in China, is obviously a Chinese American himself. So he's my go-to guy on, when you want to find out the intricacies of what is truly happening in China, because it portrays one thing, obviously, and there's something very different going on behind the scenes, certainly with Xi Jinping. The Chinese would have you believe that their economy is robust, and their economy is no such thing. They're creating a massive, they need something with which to justify their own military industrial complex. They want to be on par with a 500 ship Navy. They're building like crazy. They've had also their own internal issues and problems, particularly with their young people. And when you think that China is absolutely in lockstep with whatever Xi Jinping says, they have the same issues with their youth that essentially we have, in terms of, we don't want to labor in a field. We don't want to pull potatoes. We don't want to do what the Chinese government says. We've discovered a bit of the West. We kind of like it. We don't want to be told how to act, how to think. They do have social ratings. They're not big fans of social ratings. So they have a big problem with education. They have a big problem with keeping people in jobs, because there are a lot of jobs that the younger crowd doesn't want to do anymore, that the other older generations would gladly do, or they'd get shot in the head. So it was pretty simple. Now it's complicated. Their economy is having a very serious issue. And it's the same thing with Putin. When people saber rattle, China is saber rattling right now. And you can see that they're clearly setting up for, in my opinion, an invasion of Taiwan when and if that becomes more feasible. Their window of opportunity was during the previous regime, because Biden was distracted by anything and everything you can possibly think of.
The shiny keys.
Everything. And then the biggest political scandal in the history of the United States of America was the fact that Biden was not present. And then now we discover, amongst a host of other things, that he had an auto signature
to
all sorts of executive orders.
They proved that there was 2 auto signatures on multiple documents. I watched how they did it. They literally imposed each one on top of each other, and they match perfectly. Nobody writing a signature will match up perfect.
No,
yeah, there's 2.
Won't. Yours won't.
Nope.
No one will, because we're human. We're not an automaton. So that brought up the other issue. If you remember, folks, go back about maybe October, November, somewhere around there. Speaker Mike Johnson had said that he asked for a very serious meeting with Joe Biden. And he said, Joe Biden, why did you turn off the gas supplies to our exports? And Biden said, come on, don't be stupid. I didn't do that. I signed an EO that recommended a study. And he said, no, Mr. President, what occurred is that you signed an EO which stopped all the LPG or the LNG to a given area. And there was no investigatory effort made. There was no study suggested. It was a matter of just stopping it, period. Well, I didn't do that. And Johnson said any number of times, that's when I began to realize any number of accommodation of possibilities have occurred. He is sufficiently demented that he can't remember, or he signed something that he thought was one thing turning out to be another, or his signature, the potentiality of that is that his signature was placed on some kind of a document, the likes of which he wasn't aware before the Bobcat falls. Thank you, Bobcat. I may call him Robert. I'm not sure. That's too simple. That's too puerile. Anyway, so Speaker Johnson began to think, holy crap, did I just hear what I heard? And that lends credence to the fact that what happened? Someone somewhere will unearth enough material to write at least one book on what truly happened in the White House. But during all that weakness and insidious, stupid shit, China was emboldened, and Russia was emboldened, and North Korea was emboldened. And they made steps during that administration that likely, as Trump says, they likely would not have done something during a 47, and definitely not during a 45, and definitely, I don't believe, during a 47 regime, especially in consideration of the things that just broke today. God dang it, Bobcat. Back up.
What did I miss today?
Expand okay. Let me see if I can find this. You guys heard about Arctic frost, I'm guessing.
No.
That came out. And
tell you the truth, I slept late today.
Oh, okay. Good. Excellent. That's great. Gosh, where was it?
I mean, I'm going through news. I didn't see anything on Arctic frost.
Okay, let me find here. By the way, folks,
I watched a CR vote.
Yes. Yeah, that was 54 to 46. That was interesting in and of itself.
CR was 62 to 38.
Final vote 54-46, shutdown averted. 10 Democrats advance the stopgap bill. 10 Democrats, Senate Democrats, joined with Republicans today to advance a 7-month government funding bill, taking a key step towards averting a midnight shutdown.
Yeah, 10 would put it at 62 because 52 Republicans voted.
So let's see.
Rand Paul voted against.
Yeah, that's correct. So it was Schumer joined by, who do you think? First off the top of your head, who do you think joined Schumer?
Oh, the cloture vote. That's what it was. That was 62. Sorry.
Exactly. That's okay. The first thing you would think of is, okay, John Fetterman. Because like was mentioned last night, you mentioned it and Sean mentioned it. After a couple of very serious events in his life, Fetterman has really come around. Catherine Cortez Masto of Nevada, Dick Durbin of Illinois. I'm shocked about Durbin. Schatz of Hawaii. Yeah, Hawaii's pretty leftist, but that's all of these people. Gary Peters, Michigan. Kirsten Gillibrand of New York. And she was the one that somebody had said in the show last night was screaming behind these huge, thick oak doors that these guys had better get their act together. Now, nobody knew which way in terms of her recommendations, but I find it interesting that, Maggie Hassan, Jean Shaheen of New Hampshire, Angus King, an independent from Maine who caucuses with Democrats. And so, Schumer, I sent a, I'm just an evil little bastard. I sent a loving X to Chuck Schumer and said, "It gladdens my heart. My heart soars like an eagle," like Chief Dan George, the Chief Dan George quote. Insofar as you were hoisted upon the petard of your own creation, and the people who once loved you now hate you. And it feels very amusing to understand and hear that you're going to possibly be primaried by a child, by AOC. I didn't say this, but I'm saying it now. Good fucking luck with that.
Yeah.
Charlie, you brought all that crap on yourself.
You have some of the Democrat mouthpiece on X, one of them being JoJo from Jersey or something like that. She is a nut job, in my opinion. She put out a tweet, "Fuck Schumer." I haven't seen a lot of people attacking.
These people are not happy.
No,
not happy at all. Okay, you were talking about the newest with regard to Putin. Here's something from Yahoo News, which originally sourced from CNN, I think. Putin calls on Ukrainian troops in Kursk to surrender as Zelensky asks the U.S. to put pressure on Russia. So Putin called on, and again, this goes back to Xi Jinping. Putin are not the strong men that people think they are. They are when they can be, but both of their economies are weak. Now, Putin's army is less strong than China by a great factor. And though he can throw a lot of people at an event, just like World War II, just like Stalin, he won wars because he built more tanks and he threw more conscripts, and they were all conscripts. Well, not all, a good portion of them during World War II. Any soldier on an issue directly from Stalin and then under Beria, basically any Russian soldier who turned in the face of fire was shot from behind. Yeah. So they had every bit of as much to fear from behind as they did as they assaulted ahead. So Putin has said he called on Ukrainian troops in the Russian region of Kursk to surrender as diplomatic back and forth continues over a potential U.S. brokered ceasefire with Kiev. And now this from Reuters. Ukraine's Zelensky says there is now a good chance to end the war. These are two separate articles that came out within about, what have we got about here? Little after 11 a.m. Eastern. So Ukrainian President Zelensky said today, Friday, he saw a good chance to end the war with Russia after Ukraine accepted a U.S. proposal for a 30-day interim ceasefire, and Moscow said it would only agree if certain conditions were met. Right now, we have a good chance to end this war quickly and secure peace. We have a solid security understanding with our European partners. But I just came in from watching, Newsmax, a little bit of Fox, and OAN, and things are occurring in great rapidity right now. So even some of those things may have already changed because there's a lot of behind the scene communication. And of course, like anything else, we're only going to get the scraping off the top until something is solidified. So it looks like, 4 years of Biden, fuck Ukraine. You guys can all kill each other and we'll just send you lots of stuff. But again, you talked about war being, it's wonderful for profiteers. As I've said on the show, what happens is that we send material that's not fresh, that's not brand new, and we send it along with money to Ukraine. It gets skimmed off the top. It went to all sorts of Ukrainian oligarchs. It embiggened Zelensky's wallet. He has a couple of homes, etc. And so this money we know is not going to the place that it needs to be. However, because of the volume with which we flooded Ukraine, with a vast array of weapons, which are not our best, which are not the brand newest. But all that money, as was said before, gets to make a big old U-turn in Ukraine and come back, because the people are saying, and this was late last year, November or December, where a lot of the people in the Biden administration were saying, and I'm sorry, that came through the Pentagon too, that they were saying, okay, we're going to have to replace this contingent of weapons, because if we have some kind of an issue or a problem that we personally, the United States, need to address, we have to have a sufficient number of munitions to be able to do that. Well, that opens the floodgates for contracts. Hey, Northrop Grumman. Hey, Ingalls Shipbuilding. All of these other various defense contractors, Boeing included as well. That money
What Trump just talked about,
and came back.
Trump just talked about the shipbuilding and bringing it back to the United States, because we need some warships. We're retiring them faster than we're replacing them.
For sure. Here's something weird that I didn't know until I began to take cruises. Who builds the greatest number of cruise ships generally? Italy. Fincantieri in Italy.
Didn't it used to be like Ireland and England?
Well, in the 1900s, yes. Liverpool was a huge with Y, builder of ships back then. But we are not the shipbuilding motherfuckers that we should be.
Yeah, exactly. There is no reason why we should not be dominating almost every sector of industry. There's no reason.
We had a 500 ship actual blue water navy under Reagan. And then subsequently, we ended up pissing a lot of that away. Yep. And then right after that, Clinton, 93, 94, somewhere right around there, riffed the fuck out of the military. And there were two close bases to where I was living at the time, Sacramento, California, always spell it with a K. They were McClellan Air Force Base and Mather Air Force Base. And they both got riffed, reduction in force. And so bases all over the fruited plain got killed and axed, and all the people that once knew how to weld and magnaflux airframes and fuselages and wings discovered that their services were no longer required. And when you drop and abandon manufacturing like that, requiring great precision and detail, once you do that and stop, you're going to play hell to try to make that back up.
Yep. And the money we're going to have to spend to do it, it's going to be expensive. But I do agree with Trump. Yet we might have some growing pains, which this is where I'm kind of not happy with Massey and Rand Paul. Do I want to see the budget get cut? Yes. Do you have to do a balance sometimes? Yes. We're going to have to correct some of the issues that's going on. Right now, we might have to spend a couple extra bucks. I understand that. Not happy with it, but it goes with the territory. Now, later down the road of Trump's administration, I see where the cuts are going to start going into effect, and we're going to start really cutting this deficit down. What do you think?
Yeah. And that's why, we conservatives, maybe little L libertarians, some Republicans, although I don't necessarily believe in the Republican Party anymore because, they've been undermined since forever.
Yeah.
I'm of two minds about that. And I understand, for example, Rick Robinson has said for the past month or so, Bondi, get it together. We want to see shit happen. Release the Epstein files. Do this, do that. Do it now. Do it now. Not tomorrow. Not yesterday. Do it now, right now. I get it. But I don't think at any other time that I can recall in our history have we ever been under such pressure to fight back against things, ways, means that were used against us, Republicans, conservatives, people who actually love this nation. And I sense that there is a great amount of tumultuous, I will go so far as to say, confusion behind there's so much to do. Where do we start?
Yeah.
Do we have enough people to do it? So, I understand when somebody gets upset with Bondi or upset with somebody else or upset with Kash Patel. You said you're going to do A, B, C, D. Well, get to it. I understand that. And yes, as I said last night, and somebody else did, and perhaps yourself as well, our window is only open on Doge for a certain period of time. And yes, perhaps we can go back and go and somehow extend that sunset clause for Doge, but they're under the gun too. And they don't have thousands of people working for them, and they are literally working day and night. And the lawfare that is being waged against them, as we indicated last night as well, there are 30 plus lawsuits against Trump going on right now because the Democrats are falling apart. And the only thing that they have left, because there are so many people that are working with activist judges and are working within the DOJ, there's so much to do. Yeah, I'd love Pam Bondi, get off your ass and do things. I get it. But
it doesn't help when you have people in the background obstructing her and blocking her and doing things behind her back.
That is true.
I want it out ASAP. I hate hearing, I want to arrest right now. I want to see people in handcuffs and walking down. Yeah, I want to see it, but we can't have that right now. That would be retribution. We need to give Kash Patel and Pam Bondi some time. They just gotten into their positions. They were delayed getting into their positions. It's going to take. They need to investigate this stuff. They need to look into this stuff. They're not people that just are going to do things willy-nilly. They got to make sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And at the same time, the FBI doesn't move that fast.
Well, nobody moves that fast. Plus,
exactly.
We're also discovering that there are a great number of things, not just now, there are a massive horde of issues that are facing us right now that were brought on by Doge, USAID, all the places that were discovered that leftists were stashing, and Democrats were stashing this vast trove of billions of dollars in certain places, earmarked for one thing, but ascribed for doing another. Those things were all discovered. Plus, I'm looking at an article over here that just came out today from Fox News.
Can we hold that till after the break?
Sure, you betcha.
All right, as everybody just heard, we're going to hit a break, and then we'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ever dream of escaping the daily grind? At Escapist Travel and Tours, we make those dreams your reality. From breathtaking adventures to cultural immersions, we offer escapes tailored just for you. Let us take you to places where every moment feels like a new chapter in your life's adventure. Visit www.escapist.travel or call us today at 1-855-885-81776. Your escape awaits.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high-quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God and country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa. guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
What is the Edge of Liberty? News, politics, commentary, sarcasm, alcohol, and high blood pressure. It's as American as a good revolution. So tune in every Monday and Friday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. on the East Coast on the SHR Media Network and KLRN Radio. For details, visit www.shrmedia.com.
I am your host, Jersey Joe, and this is the great BZ next to me. Also, I want to thank everybody that tuned in earlier. We had broadcasted the live stream of, what was that, SpaceX?
SpaceX
being launched. And as we talked about in chat, it still amazes me watching that the booster come back down and land almost as much as it impressed me when Starship captured the booster section with the chopsticks. It's just SpaceX just is above the rest.
Doesn't it look to you, and the people that are watching right now, tell me if you don't think this is right. I've been a big fan of science fiction, books, movies for decades. And the booster after the launch, and the launch was on SHR, basically, should we tell people that anytime there's a potential launch in the future that you very desperately want to make sure that that's covered, and we run live with that. So if you hear of a launch coming, come to SHR, Jersey Joe, or any of our X channels, and there's a really good likelihood that you're going to be able to watch it live right there. That having been said, 4 astronauts go up. The booster, after about, 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that, runs out of go juice. It falls and literally within minutes tumbles back to Earth. And then as it falls, it rights itself vertically. And these little tripodal kind of things come out for landing legs. And when it lands on that pad, it doesn't land in the middle of a swamp or any of that kind of stuff. It lands on its pad, and then it looks like a scene out of a science fiction movie from the 50s, where the big spaceship comes down in volumes of flame, and it just dunk, and there it is.
What impresses me even more, when they land on the barge out in the Atlantic, because that thing's not perfectly level. There's waves, and that thing's tilting and all that, and it comes down, lands. What the fuck?
That's, on the other hand, who thought of that? Now, do I know for a fact that Elon Musk thinks of all those things?
No. That actually was an idea out of NASA.
He's got a massive cadre of people to do that and from which to consult. But I don't see NASA doing it. I don't see anybody else doing it.
Failed.
And, you're going to have failures. But
NASA tried back in the 50s and 60s to do that, and they never could figure it out. Here comes Elon with his team who went, oh, this is how we do it. Okay, boom.
Well, Alan Shepard, the first Mercury ride in the capsule. Alan Shepard, essentially, he was the first guy in American up in space. And all they did is they just shot him up. He wangled around in space a little bit, didn't stay for long, didn't do much of anything, and then came back down. The program was so new, and Werner von Braun was part of the paperclips, and we sucked his ass up from Germany because we could. That's a story for another day. But the rocket under which he rode was, because we didn't have anything else. The rocket under him, the Redstone, was a ballistic missile. Well, what do you mean by that, BZ? It was a missile that originally was tasked for having a warhead to shoot over to our enemies. So that rocket wasn't made for doing what it did. They took a ballistic missile, once nuclear equipped and tipped, and then wangled it around, put a mercury capsule on top of it, and then shot it up in the air with Alan Shepard. I mean, that's kind of how far behind we were. Yep. And now we're landing that shit in front of our very eyes.
And with the Starship, literally it is a skyscraper being caught out of the middle of the air.
Oh, yeah. And then, the little legs that come down and nothing is holding it. It bonk, flames out. Also the what do they call it? The little chopstick things that grab those things.
The Starship's the bigger one that they're experimenting with and capturing, because what they're planning on doing is the top section for it to come back down, get caught, get put on a different booster, and be ready to go in less than 24 hours to launch again.
That's just so, initially, if you were to have heard something like that,
I laughed when I first heard him talk about that years ago. Oh my God.
You think that's so far-fetched. That's so wonky. Dude, get down to earth yourself, because that's just not feasible until you see it. And then you go, WTF?
Me and my wife were sitting there just flabbergasted. First time we saw Starship getting caught by those chopsticks, we were like, first shot he did it, we were like, holy shit. But all right, you had an article set up for us if you want.
I want to mention
what you're going to say.
One further thing about the space program. And we didn't cover it last night. I may have covered it my Tuesday show. I'm not even sure of that because I have no damn memory. There's a guy by the name of Clayton Anderson. He's a former astronaut, and he was, in fact, assigned to the ISS, the International Space Station, where the other two astronauts are marooned right now, Barry and Suni, Barry Wilmore and Suni Williams. And so he posited something very unique. And before I go to that, I have to ask, because the nature of people, you and I, has anybody wondered, hey, I conjure, I can't help but wonder how many times old Barry and Suni have done the copulatory thing in 9 months. So you're going to tell me that people in their 40s and 50s still don't have sex drives. And when something comes across, the compulsion, they go with the cameras and here we go. Do you think they've remained celibate for 9 months? I don't.
I do. Well,
do you really?
Let me put it this way. It's against the rules.
Or do you think it's just a rub and tug fest?
It might be, because they don't know the nature of conception in space, if it will do anything to the egg.
Well, there is that. And the fact the Bobcat has not fallen off my head yet. But this guy, Clayton Anderson, said, you know what? I think also that the U.S. astronauts were stuck on that space station because Biden didn't want to risk a rescue before the election.
No.
And also, that was proffered as a reason. And the other thing that I think is even more imperative is no one in the Biden admin in the regime wanted to give Elon Musk a win before the election. And these two people, I believe, suffered.
The astronauts have confirmed that. The astronauts on ISS have confirmed that was the situation.
And is that not execrable when you could have come down? Now, say what you will about Boeing. I used to say, I love Boeing, promotional consideration. And they've been screwing up by the numbers. And Boeing screwed this up as well, which is very sad. But we had the ability and the wherewithal to rescue these people much earlier than now. It's going to take quite a number of hours to go up there, set everything, make the rendezvous, etc.
They'll rendezvous 11:30 tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night? Okay, cool. Oh, that's a good question. I wonder if they're going to be broadcasting that.
Yes, they broadcast that.
They're going to do that live? Okay, then there you
I'm
go.
up, I'll do it.
Folks, you see right there, if you want to watch things live, go to SHR, go to Jersey Joe's X or Sean Lewis's X or my X or the SHR X, and you'll see all this cool stuff live. So just little nudge, nudge, wink, wink for that. But it's politicized. It's been roundly politicized. And how, for lack of a better word, how evil do you have to be to make those two people stay up there months, literally months longer than they should have, because you didn't want to acquiesce and give a win to somebody who you were perceiving as a political supporter and a financial supporter of the guy that was your competitor? That's pretty fucking evil.
Oh, then again, this is the same administration that tried locking his opponent up. But if you're the astronauts that were only supposed to go up for 8 days, and now you got to stay there 8 months, that's got to be pretty exciting for them going, yes, I get to stay up here.
If you're the kind of individual who likes to be by yourself or wants to see the same chick with her hair, out about 5 or 6 feet every day, and the same guy complain about, I don't have any socks here with which to wank, the complaints back and forth to each other. What if they hate each other? What if they can't stand each other? Get me the fuck down. Don't be surprised.
That's where I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
because if there's an issue, it's like you're screwed. It's not like you can pull the car over and get out.
No, so don't be surprised if those were issues. We talked about all sorts of other investigations. There was one that just got revealed. What is today? 14th. Yeah. Okay. So it came out today. I'm looking over here on my other screen. Biden White House turned over Trump Pence government cell phones to the FBI. This was Arctic frost.
Oh, that's what Arctic frost was. Oh, okay.
Yeah. This was part of the probe. Biden's White House counsel's office turned over the phones to the FBI as part of its Arctic frost probe. And what was that? So they turned over the cell phones to Trump and Pence to the FBI in May 2022, under 45, as part of a bureau probe into the aftermath of the 2020 election, tying Trump to that investigation without sufficient predication. Fox learned the FBI did not need a warrant to physically obtain the government funds from the Biden White House because they gave them to him. But after acquiring the devices, agents began drafting search warrants to extract the phone's data. And that's what people were saying. So the Biden White House played right along with the FBI's gotcha scheme against Trump. Now, if you remember, go back to Trump and his administration under 45, first being installed in the White House. And James Comey said out loud, the out loud part, out loud. He said, I knew when I sent a couple of agents over to the White House that the people that were there that were tasked with speaking with certain individuals at the Trump White House, they wouldn't know what was going on. And I know that he said, I knew they were going to be silly, stupid, and fattening, and we could get any amount of information we wanted from them. We didn't have to advise them of rights or didn't do anything. So we knew that they were going to be ignorant of how it is that we customarily worked. And that's what we did. We could get away. And then he laughed. Then he said, oh, we knew we could get away with it. And they did. But I go back to this comparison. Dianne Feinstein, who is now dead, had a Chinese spy in her office when she was chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee for literally a really long time. And the Chinese spy, whose name I can't remember because I don't speak Mandarin or read it,
ting dang bing dang dong,
was in her office first as a driver, and then he became a personal consultant, and then he worked in her office. And you possibly think beyond your little fetid neural brain that at one point there weren't a shit ton of documents strewn all over her desktop, or that he wasn't tasked with taking folders with classified information from points A to B because she trusted him. And she's always been a dupe for China, an accommodator for China. And then she was warned by the FBI finally when they caught wind of that. Excuse me, we're going to conduct an investigation. We're giving you, Dianne Feinstein, a heads up that we're going to be doing this investigation because we think you may have been compromised. Well, they did that for a Democrat. Did they do that for Trump? If there was a credible belief that they thought that Trump was being compromised truly, not by the Chinese, but in that case, let's say the Russians, then why did she receive a heads up and he not receive a heads up if there were any amount of equanimity about this at all? And the answer is no. There was none and will be and was none during the Biden administration and also past Obama. Those same people under Obama were the same people that were essentially under Trump. And Trump made a lot of serious appointment errors during the 45
and he admits he listened to the wrong people.
But I understand that because people said, his strongest aspect was his weakest aspect in terms of he wasn't a politician. So he's used to the cutthroat corporate culture, which I think he suspected was pretty cutthroat, but he discovered that it was equally as cutthroat, if not more, than the corporate world.
I want to know to what one of the things you brought up. Now I'm going to expand it a little bit. Why wasn't Feinstein charged? Why wasn't Swalwell, I'll be nice, charged? And there's been several other Democrats that were found to have Chinese spies on their staff. But not a single one of them, nothing happened to them.
No, of course not. And we all knew it wouldn't happen under Obama, and we all knew that it wouldn't happen under Biden.
No, but then you had the Democrats going out there and banging the drum of equal justice and all that. And it's like, there's too much evidence out there, too many facts.
Good.
Wait, got one hair out of the place.
Good kitty. Nice.
Something that came out today, too. I just came across the article. Appeals court lifts block on Trump's order restricting diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Back to ending that crap, that racist crap.
Oh, that's nice. So obviously there was an appeal to DEI, and then the appeal was affirmed. That is to say, you can't kill all the DEI. And then what came out today was basically a slap in the face to the people saying, yeah, okay, you can continue with the elimination of DEI.
So I'm pretty sure that's going to be appealed, and it's going to. The Democrats are playing right into his hand. It was discussed a little bit on your show last night, and I think it was Second Sean that brought it up. These things are going to go to the Supreme Court.
Oh, one way or the other. And as I said last night, the Supreme Court doesn't mind handling just about everything and anything except political cases where the two cataclysmic forces are conflicting with each other all the time, and they don't want to. I truly believe they desperately don't want to call balls and strikes with regard to politics, but it's gotten to the point where it is so reprehensible, so vehement, so violent that I don't think they're going to be left with
any choice.
Too many alternatives. And again, history has shown that with regards to Roberts and Comey, Barrett, and Kavanaugh once or twice, this shit can go 5-4 both sides, both ways.
Like the shit that it's
a vote
court. It's not a packed court. Like you said, it can go either way anymore.
It's something the likes of which somebody somewhere is going to have to solve.
Yeah.
And people were saying, Maxine Waters was saying today, Donald Trump wants a civil war. Okay, well, then you stop pushing for a civil war, because the person who has always wanted a civil war is yourself. And you have said it. And there are any number of numerous examples on the internet, to be pulled up. Plus, this addendum, have you ever seen anyone with a mouth wider and larger than Maxine Waters? I think the only thing that challenges her is the intake of an A6 Crusader, which was a jet that landed generally Navy ships. That's only slightly wider than her mouth. And I think if you were to take a tape, it would be very close.
Somehow we got to figure out how to hold these politicians accountable to their words when they go out there and make these claims, whether it's censoring them or something. They need to be by their parties for these exaggerated, fear-mongering, violence-inducing comments. Because if you notice, we didn't have this violence under Trump. We didn't have this violence under Bush. But we had it under Obama and Biden. It's
the one thing that I would highly recommend and always have is once you took, you were going to proscribe qualified immunity from law enforcement. And under certain parameters and circumstances, California, always spell it with a K, started there first. Once you remove qualified immunity under certain circumstances for law enforcement officers, and we went into a few of the issues that the really stupidly egregious issues that leftist states are pushing, Oregon, Washington, California, always spell it with a K. If you're going to remove qualified immunity from law enforcement officers who depend on at least a semblance of coverage, my first recommendation was, okay, qualified immunity completely removed from all politicians. Start in DC first. Removal of qualified immunity. Then you would find these shit sticks parsing their language a little bit better and perhaps not making the wide-ranging on both sides of the aisle, making such wide-ranging and incredibly blatant and abject lies about what's going on in front of the eyes of 340 million people in the United States of America. Remove qualified immunity from politicians. That's one of the first things that should be there. I had a story that I wrote years ago, probably 2017 or 2018, that there were 5 things that should be immediately enacted and to make this country a much better country. And one of those was remove qualified immunity from all politicians. And the other one was regard to tort law. And it would take 2 words to completely sweep up all tort law. Loser wins. Excuse me, loser pays.
Yeah.
And if you want to keep all these ridiculously specious, superficial, stupid suits out of the courts and choking them off, if you lose, you pay. Well, then you'll probably be bringing various suits that you have a fairly decent belief that you're going to win. Other than that, if it's really stupid, then maybe that might provide something of a little bit of a chilling effect, as they say, to tort case law.
Yeah, it would end the lawfare that's going on in this country if they had to reimburse for their lawsuits that they're doing when they lose them. Because they're just doing it. They're not doing it. They know most of these lawsuits are going to fail. They know that they go to certain judges, they're going to get a certain outcome to begin with. They know they're not going to stop Trump on what he's doing. They're just trying to slow him down, obstruct him, so they can go, oh, look at this. He didn't do anything when he was in office. You know, they totally forget their hand in stuff when things don't work out. We need some changes in the country, and we need to start with our politicians, and we need to stop letting them think that they are a higher class. We need to hold them to a higher accountability. Oh.
There's a ton going on.
Huh?
There's a ton going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's to the point where, and Lawrence O'Donnell said this either early today or yesterday, massive leftist. I think he's MSNBC. He could be CNN. It's immaterial. I couldn't give a shit less. But this guy who is paid millions of dollars, as he said, 52 days into this term, and he is so confused. He is so confused. He's going to take the next week off, as he's telling this to Rachel Maddow in the next little window. So this guy making $10 to $15 to $20 million a year is so stressed, and he works an hour a day, 1 hour a day on a show. He's so terribly stressed, and he can't take his millions of dollars are not a sufficiently of an assuagist. They don't soothe the savage beast within him. He has to take time off. So
I'll say the same thing I said last night on your show. Vagisil. That's all he needs.
Yeah.
I think there's something else going on. More or less, he may have been suspended and they're allowing him to, give a bullshit cover story or something to that line. Because no man, I shouldn't say that because I see liberals do it all the time, but no self-respecting man's going to go out there going, oh, Trump upset me so much, I need to take a week off of work.
Yeah, I know. But the cool thing is, and that kind of applies to us as well, to you and me. I wake up every morning knowing that something new is going to happen. Now, whether it will be good or bad, I have no idea. I can't keep up with that. As I am wont to say frequently, when I do my shows, I have 75 to 80,000 tabs set up here of articles that I'd like to cover that night, and I get to maybe, I don't know, 10, if that. I can't begin. We, you, me, Sean, Rick, KLRN, et al. We cannot begin to cover the amount of stuff that's out there. And it's bad good for us, but it's even, happy story, it's even worse for the Democrats who are falling apart, except for the courts.
Guess what?
It's time to go.
Yeah, the hour blew by pretty quick.
It sure did.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, I will be on next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. I am a late night show. Occasionally, FNS words may be encountered. Alcohol may also be involved. I am BZ of BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. I am on Tuesday and Thursday nights. It's a night kind of show, and I have no idea who I'm going to have on next night or next week. I really don't. But tune in, because it's going to be bulbous. If I'm bulbous, it's going to be involving bulbosity unrestrained. That's me. And that the cat, maybe it's Robert. I don't know the name, but he may or may not be here next week.
Phil.
He hasn't fallen off yet, so I'm happy.
Phil.
Although I do have his balls right here. Let's see, where's he?
His name, Phil.
Phil?
Yeah, I don't know. He's filling up your head.
He is. Okay. Bobcat balls right here. Not for sale. Sorry.
I want to thank. Go ahead, finish it.
That's all right. I'm done.
I want to thank you so much for coming on, BC. It's always
appreciate it
to have you, and you have a great weekend, sir.
Thank you. You have a great weekend. Also, to all of our people, keep watching SHR. And one thing I forgot to say is on the SHR YouTube channel, we are 68, 58. We're 58 subscribers away from 500 subscribers. When you hit 500 subscribers, some of the algorithms change a little bit, and we're asking you, subscribe if you would, please. 58. All we need is 58 more subscribers. Let's see if we can do that on every SHR show next week. Pretty please.
Thank you, boss. Have a great weekend.
Sir. Ciao.
And as he was saying there, I mean, it's just...
Please, I'm begging you. Please. I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. Please subscribe.
You've been listening to the Reaver Common Sense right here on SHR Media, conservative media done right. I'm Jersey Joe, and I'll catch you on Monday, 9 p.m. Have a great fucking weekend.